I'm Justin Fox of the Harvard Business Review. I'm here with Harvard Business School professors Michael Porter and Jan Rivkin. They are leading the school's Us Competitiveness Project, which aims to inspire action among business leaders to improve American competitiveness. The findings will be featured in the March 2012 issue of Harvard Business Review. But today, we'll get a preview of the project. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. To start with, Mike, what is this Us Competitiveness Project?
Well, Justin, I think pretty much all would agree that the U.S. is facing some very strong economic challenges right now. They're being manifested in pressure on the standard of living, on wages. They're being manifested in really a dramatic slowdown in the generation of new jobs. And the school has chosen to really engage as an institution in trying to make a major contribution to the debate on this issue with a team of our colleagues here at the school and engaging our alumni and surveying our alumni. We hope to actually advance the dialogue and also be a catalyst for action, particularly with the business community.
So, Jan, what do we mean when we're talking about competitiveness?
The United States is competitive to the extent that firms operating in the U.S. can do two key things. The first is compete successfully in the global economy. The second is to support high and rising living standards in the U.S. So if you can do both, the U.S. is more competitive. Succeed in only one or in neither, the U.S. is less competitive.
So, Mike, by that standard of competitiveness, how's the U.S. doing?
Well, Justin, I think what's important to understand is the U.S. has some very important strengths, and our preliminary findings are that those strengths are largely intact. We are a very entrepreneurial nation. We have a tremendous innovative capacity in the U.S. Our higher education system is really second to none. But what's happened is, bit by bit over the last decade or two, our cost of doing business has been rising. Our regulatory complexity is creating increasing problems.
I think it's also important to realize that the U.S. faces at this point two economic challenges that are related but usefully distinguished. One is a cyclical downturn of unusual depth and length, right? And the second is a set of changes that threaten the underlying structure of the strength of the U.S. economy. And certainly the cyclical downturn has to be addressed. The challenge is, though, that if we only address that downturn, we may very well revive an economy whose long-term prospects are not as strong as they could be.
So we could pump up this economy with infinite government spending, but that's not going to solve the competitiveness challenge. We have some deeper issues, and what's particularly unsettling right now is our inability as a country to kind of come together and move ahead, particularly in the political process. That's one of the reasons, frankly, why the school is taking on this effort, because we feel that we have an unusual opportunity through our enormous population of alumni and the influence we have with government to see if we can kind of break through and see if we can get this country moving again.
We can't simply be asking what can the government do here, but we also have to ask what roles and responsibilities should business leaders be playing.
We think that it's in the interest of all companies operating in the U.S. To improve the environment for competitiveness in this country. And what's more, the U.S.'s vitality and dynamism is really very fundamentally important to the global economy.
So this isn't just a domestic issue.
The health of the world's largest economy is crucial if we're going to have a healthy global economy. It's very hard to imagine a healthy global economy without the U.S. being able to do its share.
Well, and along those lines, if you look at the trend lines, obviously China seems headed for eventually being the world's largest economy, displacing the U.S. Is that what we're concerned about here, or is that not an issue?
What we're really concerned about, Justin, is living standards and kind of the vitality of the improvement of living standards for Americans. We're also worried about the growth and vitality of the U.S. Now, China has more than 1 billion people. Even at fairly low incomes, China will be bigger than the United States. It's just a matter of time. We want China to grow. It's not a zero-sum game. That said, if the U.S. doesn't improve some of these fundamentals that allow us to be more productive, more innovative, haven't mentioned skill. We've let our skills fall behind. If we can't address these things, our living standards won't rise. We won't be able to take advantage of the growth of the emerging economies.
And certainly one of the ironies in the United States is we've got simultaneously unfilled high-skilled jobs that are available, and we've got 9.1% unemployment, right? That clearly indicates we've got some mismatch in our institutions.
So you've got a lot of faculty members here at the school working on this subject. What are some of the subject areas they're focusing on?
Sure. So we're fortunate to have a great team of faculty working with this, both at the school, but also partners from other institutions as well. You asked about the topics. We've got a broad range of topics, including U.S. fiscal policy, the future of entrepreneurship in the U.S., the future of U.S. capital markets, energy, the environment, and that angle on competitiveness. We've got folks working on firm location choices, enriching the business ecosystem beyond just firms themselves and getting institutions to work together. We've got people who are looking at what's happening in particular cities around the country and building cases around those. We've got an individual looking at the U.S. political system and asking, why do we see the paralysis that we see in Washington these days? Reinventing the corporate tax, governance and financial incentives for firms. Those are just a sample.
And where do you hope that's going to lead? Where do you hope this whole project will lead?
I think the definition of victory is not simply producing a set of articles. We do that routinely. I think our definition of victory here is to make a positive difference. We want to be able to mobilize our community here on campus, but more broadly, to try to take action, particularly among business leaders, that can improve the future competitiveness of the U.S. economy.
We are intending to do an extensive outreach program. We can really change somehow the discussion that takes place in 2012, because we are going to go through a presidential election. This is a fundamental inflection point that could be the beginning of a new chapter for the U.S. And so we are shooting for, obviously, the March issue of the Harvard Business Review will be devoted to this topic, but we are hoping to have most of our principal work done early in the year before really the campaign season starts.
Thank you for your time today. To join the competitiveness discussion and stay up to date on the project findings, visit hbs.edu.